of your proposed amendments, Councilor Brown, to make sure we're all looking at the same one?
It's a third, but it's only part of the third.
Okay, it's actually the fourth one. The first one on your sheet.
The fourth, I'm sorry.
Okay. There are 5 in total, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's the fourth I move to amend down, so make sure councilors all understand what we're talking about.
Yes, it's just the portion that where it says within 48 hours by the close of business. I'm only proposing changing, deleting on each day on which the dealer is open for business, crossing that out and replacing it with within 48 hours by the close of business. We're just changing the time requirements only.
If you count up from the bottom of the page, they're not numbered, if you count up from the bottom of the page, it would be the second I move up from the bottom.
Yeah.
Section D. Chair recognizes Councilman Velasquez. Chair recognizes Councilman Pennington.
I just have a question for clarification. I can't tell there's any hour limitation in the statute or the proposed ordinance as it is right now. It says on each day on which I guess the dealer is open for business. I guess you could imply that they had to do it before midnight, but there's really not a time limit specified in here. I mean, I don't know what the intent of the department is. I'm just trying to figure out whether this really is necessary.
Councilor Pennington, they're here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. The current city ordinance as it stands did not mention time. The state gave them 48 hours, but that's when they were also given the opportunity to mail in. I request that we electronically transmit, which can be done instantly. So it's not, that's why we actually give them 24 hours, but it's really, if you're going to do it electronically, it happens pretty quick.
So well, let's just just say a shop closes at 7 o'clock. Is the PM, is the intent then to require them to file before midnight or before 7 o'clock the next day? Or, I mean, I can't tell from the language.
Right,
Maybe.
We're not saying when they need to do it. It just needs to be before the 24-hour period. And what it is I think...
Their 24 hours doesn't appear to be in here.
Or a daily.
It says daily.
Mr. Solomon, who spoke yesterday, he is one of the busiest gold buyers that we have found in our while we're working, and he does them daily. He has no problem. And most of the businesses do 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 customers, and then if it's busy, they may use 10 or 15. So.
But if a shop closes at 7 p.m., then you don't require the filing by midnight of that particular day. Yeah, I mean, if they do it sometime the next day, it's acceptable.
I think the way it reads is it's daily. So it's not like I'm going to go into his business and say, you didn't get it in last night.
Actually, now we're into a question of
Right.
law.
I know, I understand.
I'll ask you to direct your question, please, to Mr. Feldman.
Right, I just, it needs to be clear for the people subject to it, but I can't tell what it is. Thank you.
Okay.
Without any form of legislative history, it would be interpreted to mean that it has to be done by midnight, the completion of a 24-hour day.
And that's the way we went into these ideas.
Thank you.
And that is the state law.
Councilman Green.
Thank you, Mayor. Point of clarification to Councilman Brown. You've redlined away the failure to comply piece, the punitive part of this particular measure.
Ignore that, please.
Ignore that. So
Yes.
this failure to comply would still be a part.
My current motion as it stands only crosses out on each day on which the dealer is open for business, and only that's that portion, and it replaces it with within 48 hours by the close of business. And also we're going to need to change the paragraph that I have right immediately before that, because it does state updated daily, and so we're going to need to cross out the word daily if we do pass this amendment as proposed currently.
Okay, and for the officers here with regard to reporting, is this an automatic? I think I heard someone say it's an automatic type reporting. So is this in the process of checking someone out? It's automatically reported like that, or does it actually take time for you to compile information, get it together, and then report?
Thank you, sir. In reference to your question, anytime a business makes a transaction and they auto-populate their information on Leads Online. That information automatically reports to the police department. They are conducting, it's kind of like multitasking. They're conducting a transaction and reporting to the police at exactly the same time.
So it's the same, it's just process any regular transaction, so a daily type reporting would not be prohibitive or would not, slow down the business.
Correct.
Because essentially in initiating the transaction, you are essentially reporting at the same time.
Yes, sir, and in fact, as state law reads, mailing and writing out a handwritten receipt is more cumbersome than auto-populating into those electronic reports.
Thank you.
Councilmember Burks.
Thank you, Mayor. On the rare times, I get a little confused. I'm looking at language and I'm going 48 hours, they have to do it per day. Electronic equipment we have now that does it all the time, directly as you do it, but then some businesses may not have that type of equipment.
Not yet, correct.
Not yet. So that means that at the end of business day, they have to go back the old-fashioned way, get the data, get on their modem, go in the database there, and download it by the end of business day. I believe that when you set it up for 48 hours, what happens is you combine a whole lot of data into one if you have the old-fashioned system. Because some people out here still have antiquated equipment. So we go to 48 hours, it just delays them getting there. And what most businesses who have that old equipment, which I happen to be in that business, it backs up on them. And it causes where they're sending it to have a backlog that they have to go into and isolate every item out one at a time. Is that correct?
Yes, it's much more confusing, I would think, as a business owner to delay you, and then you have 2 or 3 days, like you stated, and then they have to enter this day and that day and this day.
And
Where,
separate.
the way we're requiring is you just do a transaction, you enter it as you're doing it, and then it's completed.
All right, but now, and it would be better for them if they had the old dinosaur equipment
I would
to do
think
it
so.
daily.
I would think so,
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Councilmember Christie.
I think I'm just against the 48 hours just because it gives the bad guys more time to melt down and ship out.
Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. So that I'm clear, they can enter it all day long. Nobody's saying when the store closes, that's when you sit down and enter it. So obviously they can be doing that all day long, and that's clearly what they would be doing. I don't necessarily frequent these stores, but I would love to think that there's just thousands of people going in and out of these stores all day long. They're so busy they just don't have time to enter it. But I have a feeling that's not the case, even with Mr. Solomon's business. And so that during the day, they can clear. That's part of the daily activity of business, is enter those things. No one's staying past midnight. No one's up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just a part of the daily activity. And so I don't think we need that 48 hours.
Nice work with 10 practice.
Thank you, Mayor.
I want to make sure that we are on the 4th. I move to amend because I heard Councilman Brown mention earlier about updated daily, and that's in a different section. So we're not considering
We can't, because
that
it's got
section.
separate sections, yeah.
Okay, so we're not considering that section at this time at all.
If we pass the current motion, then we would need to do that, but if we don't, then there's no point in changing that.
Okay. Let me ask the officers here, just an opportunity to make real clear for the record. The amendment is to wait 48 hours before they do the entry. From a law enforcement standpoint, why would you not want to wait 48 hours, or is it okay to wait 48 hours?
I think that's very clear. Once, obviously, in this type of criminal action, it's very difficult to describe the jewelry. It's very difficult to recover a lot of this information, a lot of this merchandise. I think by reporting daily, it allows the officers, especially electronically, to have a clear, concise, legible description of the article that is downloaded and uploaded to the database every day, that the officer can check and could have the information available as readily as possible.
And if I may add one point to that, there was a comment about, well, they just may go elsewhere. Well, the cool thing about this electronically is that any officer in any location that is connected with Leads Online can check this information. So depending, no matter where they go, this can still be tracked.
Thank you, I appreciate your work. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Brown.
I've spoken with countless gentlemen in the industry and women in the industry, and they have expressed their concerns, and this is one of the key ones. We can't say how many companies out there, locations out there, currently do not have any electronic type equipment, that if we're doing it based on written records and the like. If we're gonna mandate that they do some web-based internet live, Wi-Fi or internet cable, whatever they need to have, instant reporting, we don't know what they're gonna have to deal with to try to get that to be up to par with the current proposed changes. What I have heard, regardless of how they would have to comply with the web-based system, is that they may have employees that are gonna have to just get a written record at the time of the purchase, because the tech guy that knows how to use the computer is not gonna be there at the time. So there will always be instances where if you have, during a holiday season or whatever, when people are needing cash, or perhaps an economic crash in the city, everyone's getting rid of their jewelry, you're gonna have a situation where they might not be able to comply with a daily basis request. And this just gives them an opportunity. And if they're using the instant online reporting, then they're gonna be doing what you want. But this gives them a window of opportunity to not have to fail in compliance, and perhaps even incur fines and misdemeanor charges.
You're referring to your amendment, giving them 48 hours?
Yes.
And I would actually love to have a list of the businesses, the numerous businesses that you spoke to, so we could make sure that the information we're handing out to everybody gets to them, because we've met with over 250 businesses, and I can't remember one that didn't have a laptop or some kind of computer, and that's all you need. And I'm not saying there isn't, maybe I missed one or two, maybe everyone that you spoke to didn't have a computer, but the ones that we spoke to, everybody at least had access. In fact, when I would go into business, they wouldn't be any customers in there, they would go, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just on the internet. I'm like, perfect. And that's how I would kind of talk to them about, well, this is how we're gonna report. So I would really love to have a list of those businesses you spoke to. That would be great it would probably help us too.
And in regards to many items throughout this ordinance, there's certain things that certain people in different industries are willing to say in public versus how they feel about an item in private. I mean, that you're talking about an industry that's highly regulated. We have over 24 requirements that the state mandates from this industry. So we're adding to that. So giving it a little bit of opportunity for people to comply.
We're not adding to anything. We're doing exactly what the state requires, and then we're probably adding 4 more things besides what the state requires. So we're not really adding numerous things to that. I just want to clarify.
Four major items, which is the mug shop permits, the web-based requirement, and the daily reporting.
And can I correct you on the mug shot? Just because we're asking for a digital
It's a
picture.
glamour shot.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that.
All right, so again, so I strongly recommend that we give this industry opportunity to comply and not be so stringent all the time reporting, because most people, if they're going to be doing the web-based, it will be instantly. So we don't need to actually specify that they, with a criminal penalty, do it daily. Thank you.
Councilor Payne.
Thank you, Mayor. There was a lady that took the time out on Tuesday to come down to testify to y'all, who testified she had kind of a group of salespeople or purchasers that went into homes.
Like a gold bank group.
So I presume, those people, I know maybe they reported by computer to their home office if they have one, but it's likely that some do and some don't. I mean, it may be a small matter, but I just wanted to make sure that we've taken that into consideration, how those people can comply.
They do. They're actually already on Beach Online, like gold bank girls. They're all for free.
The individual purchases are already on my, thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. And even the individual that was here yesterday, I know you were here for his testimony. While he spoke on some of the other points that he has concerns about, when it came to this, he said that while yes, he would prefer not to have to report, that even he's trained his operation to do it daily, so he already does it, so I know, to now change the process on them and require something different, and again, you're just trying to bring it, up to match state law, so.
Correct, that's the most important thing we want to get.
Yeah,
We're not asking a whole bunch more.
Thanks.